One of the former directors of the archives called this painting the gem of our collection. But what is its story, and how can it tell us about Alabama history? I'm Alex Colvin, and I'm the Public Programs Curator here at the Alabama Department of Archives and History. And today, I'm going to tell you about the William McIntosh portrait. This impressive portrait stands at 7.5 feet tall and 4.5 feet wide. It is an oil on canvas and currently the centerpiece of the This Is Our Land section of the Alabama Voices Gallery here at the archives. So first, what is the story of the painting? The portrait was commissioned by McIntosh himself and completed in 1821 by Nathan Negus, a Massachusetts-born painter who traveled south and became a celebrated portrait artist during Alabama's early statehood period. After McIntosh received the painting, he placed it in the council house in the Creek town of Coweta. Then in 1832, years after McIntosh had died, his son, Chili McIntosh, sold the portrait to a Georgia citizen named James Colvin, who placed it behind the cigar counter in his tavern in Columbus, where it lived for the next 90 years. It was there that Peter Brannon, who would later become the third director of the Alabama Department of Archives and History, saw the portrait and recognized it as William McIntosh. He convinced then-director Marie Bankhead Owen to procure the painting for the archives collection. They negotiated a deal with the Colvin family and brought the portrait to the archives, where it underwent extensive restoration to combat years of exposure to light and cigar smoke. But what does this painting tell us about Creek history? Well, if you look at it, you can immediately see the influence of trade on Creek culture and fashion. In the previous 2 centuries, the Creek people had become actively involved in trade with Europeans. The Creeks provided animal skins, primarily deer skins, to Europeans in exchange for goods like guns, iron tools, and fabric. But as we look at the McIntosh portrait, we can see the combination of those fabrics into a traditional style. You see, Native Americans did not accept these goods wholesale, but instead incorporated them into their own cultural identity. So we can see European influences in his shirt and necktie, but also traditional Creek items like leggings and moccasins. And while this fabric, likely calico, was European manufactured, it was fashioned into a traditional ceremonial cloak. If we look closer at his belt and bag, we see intricate beadwork. These glass beads were obtained through the trade, but woven into a pattern that was intrinsically Creek. This painting tells us that he embraced this trade network. Indeed, this outfit, and the very fact that he commissioned this portrait, tells us that he was wealthy and benefited from the trade. But at the same time, he held on to a traditional identity. William McIntosh was the son of a Scottish man and a Creek woman. But Creek society was matrilineal, meaning they traced a person's identity through their mother's line. So his mother's status meant that he was considered fully Creek within his community. McIntosh was a very controversial figure, as he was a Miko, or chief of Coweta, who was closely allied with the United States. He was a supporter of the federal U.S. policy of civilization, which was trying to assimilate Creeks into Western society by, quote, teaching them to live as civilized beings. In the early 19th century, the Creek people were facing an increasingly powerful United States who wanted their territory. McIntosh tried to combat the expansion of the U.S. by promoting a new law that would make it illegal for individual towns to cede territory. Instead, any treaty had to receive approval from the National Creek Council, thus protecting Creek land and sovereignty. Yet, in 1825, McIntosh broke this very law when he ceded territory in the Treaty of Indian Springs, thus betraying his people. For his act of treason, he was executed. McIntosh's life and legacy are controversial and complicated, but he and his portrait show economic and cultural changes for the Creek people, but also of the increasingly difficult position that Creeks faced at the early 19th century.